we're going to talk about 6 reasons you should retire as soon as possible. I'm Elliot Apple, founder and financial planner of Kindness Financial Planning, and today we're going to be talking all about retirement and why it's critical to do it today if you can. Reason number 1, time. Now, this may seem like an obvious one, but let's think about it in a little different manner. So a few years ago, I came across this poster by Wait But Why, and it's called their life poster or life calendar. And I really appreciate it because it frames our time a little bit differently. There's different boxes here that you can see ranging from 0 years old all the way up to a very old age. And you can fill this out in different ways. Here's mine. You can see how I did this. But what I appreciated about this is you could see how time evolved. So you could see when I was a kid being a certain color, I chose schooling to be another color, and then college being a different one, and then a certain work phase, and then launching my own firm, Kindness Financial Planning, a different color. And you can see I melded a few colors together when it felt like I was sort of in between stages. And I enjoy this because it shows major life points and how much time I have remaining. But we can also think about this in terms of how much time do you have with certain people, or how many activities that you love to do are left, or how many times do you get to still travel. And I think about this in my own life with actual numbers. So think about it for your own life for a second. So I think about this in terms of tennis. I play tennis about twice a week now, give or take, depending on the season. So if I'm 34 years old today, and let's say I'm going to live to age 85, who knows if that's actually true, I have 41 years left. That translates to about 4,200 more tennis matches. Now, I went till age 75 or so for that because I don't necessarily expect to play until I'm age 85. If I can, great. That one doesn't scare me so much. That one, okay, 4,200 tennis matches, certainly something I want to enjoy, but it's not like I have 10 or 15 of them left unless I die early. If I think about this with vacation and international travel, let's say I go on an international trip every other year on average, or that's my goal. Well, I only have maybe about 20 trips left. Well, that gives me pause for a moment. So if I want to visit new countries, that's only 20 countries left. Or if I want to visit a country I've been to before, that takes away from that 20. So it starts to give you a little more pause and think more about, oh, well, if I could do something to retire a little bit sooner to go do that, maybe that's something that I'd want to do. Okay, about that with time with family. I see my aunt and uncle maybe once, twice a year. And they're in their early 70s. So if we give them maybe 10 or 15 more years, that's maybe 10 or 15 more times that I get to see them. And who knows what that time will look like. Obviously, in their early 70s, quality time is probably going to look a little bit differently than when they're in their early 80s and what they're capable both cognitively and physically. And where it really hits home is with my mom. And I think about her. She's turning 70 this year. And so if I think about a normal life expectancy, maybe 10 or 15 years for her, if I see her maybe 3 times a year now, that's not many times left that I get to see her. And we could break this down to the number of hours I get to see her and all that. And it's one of the reasons that I've gone back home for a few weeks in the summer, now that I've moved away, to spend time with my family, because I know that time is limited. I've actually done the math on it and decided to do something about it. And so when we think about retirement and why you want to retire as soon as possible, time is one of the big ones. We don't have a ton of it left, and we don't know when that time will run out, and we want to make the most of that with our friends and our family and what we enjoy in life. Number 2, the future is always uncertain. And I hear this frequently, people who want to retire. It doesn't seem like the right time. XYZ is going on in the world, or I'm worried about this, or what if this happens? It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. There's never going to be a perfect time. I've never met someone who said, oh, I'm so ready to retire. I feel 100% confident and secure. Nothing's going on in the world that worries me. Just think about that for a moment. It doesn't happen. And so if you're worried about that, I don't want to discount those worries, because certainly there are things to be worried about. And worry is a natural human function. But I don't want that to take away or prevent someone from retiring when it's always going to be that way. If we think back in time, there was always a reason to be worried. There were world wars, people were dropping nuclear bombs on them, there's global financial crises. There's lots of reasons to be worried, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to change your retirement plans. There's plenty of things that you can do, like diversification, making sure that you have money in cash or more conservative assets to weather those rough times, to feel confident going into retirement. I can always think back to a reason not to retire. World War I, World War II, global oil prices rising, global oil prices declining, terror attacks, the global financial crisis. The list goes on and on. We can go back in history and always find a reason that we shouldn't retire. And guess what? People retired during these times, and they, for the most part, were okay, assuming that they had a disciplined investment strategy and were diversified. The third reason you'll want to retire as soon as possible is that your health is unknown. And that also may seem like an obvious one, but if we think about cognitive function, emotionally and physically, you may be at the best you're ever going to be today. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you get to exercise and stay healthy throughout retirement, but there is a chance that this is the healthiest that you'll be today. I've known people who were married, very much looking forward to retirement, and 6 months into retirement, someone's diagnosed with brain cancer and they pass away within those 6 months. Let that settle in. They had this long, what they thought was promised retirement that they get to enjoy. They worked really hard for it, and they don't get to enjoy it together. And so you can always push off retirement another year if you want to, but what does that mean health-wise? If you're not fully functioning at your best, are those years created equal? The first 5 years of retirement, I've seen people travel and enjoy and just do everything that they've wanted to do. Those 5 years are going to be very different than the last 5 years of their life. And I see that with people that I work with. Some people die instantly at home, and that is a blessing for them. Other people, they develop cognitive impairment, dementia, health declines slowly over time, and the last 5 to 10 years of their life may be very, very uncomfortable, both for them and for their loved ones. So as you're thinking about your own retirement, think about your health and think about how you are today and what it may look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Number 4, it's an opportunity to explore. And we just talked about health for a moment, and that's why I'm so passionate about people retiring when they can, because getting to explore while you're healthy is one of the best things that you can do. When was the last time that you were free from work responsibilities, that you didn't have to punch in to a job, you didn't have to worry about an email late at night, it didn't have to occupy that brain space at all times. You can actually truly go out and travel for months at a time if that's what you want to do, if you want to take a cruise, or maybe you just want to escape the weather where you are. Being from Washington State, there were plenty of people I knew who went down to Arizona or California for a few months during the winter because it was just rainy. These are the times that you get to go explore, whether that's a new location, a new hobby, maybe something that you were doing in the past that you didn't get to do. You can actually dedicate the time to do it and feel like you have the time to do it without worrying or giving up work time or other time that could be spent doing something else. Number 5, you can invest more time in your relationships. Now, if you're a parent, maybe you have an adult child and they have grandkids. How many summers are you going to get with those grandkids, and how many ages are you going to actually get to enjoy? And what I mean by that is you only turn 5 once, you only turn 6 once. You want to enjoy that time while they're young, or maybe even while they're older. You can babysit while they're young and go to activities when they're older. There's lots of different opportunities to enjoy life with your family and invest in those relationships that you don't get to necessarily do when you're working. When you're working, if there's maybe a soccer game in the afternoon, you otherwise wouldn't maybe get to go to that while you're working. But when you're retired, you can do that. And you can also watch them in the morning or take them after practice to go get ice cream or do whatever. There's lots of opportunities out here, and I see families enjoy this with their grandkids. They actually get the time to enjoy that. And you get to free up some time for your adult children for them to maybe enjoy their marriage or enjoy more time with their kids if they don't necessarily need to be watching their kids 100% of the time. If you can take some of that time for them, it can be really helpful. I see that both in my own family with family members who are there for grandkids. So one spouse can go traveling or something like that. There's lots of opportunities to help spread out the time and enjoy that time with your grandkids. There's a book that was produced that talks about how many summers you have with your kids. And so if you have the opportunity to retire early or take a sabbatical or do something like that, maybe you're a younger parent with a younger kid at home, I often see those as great opportunities too, to sort of do a mini retirement, if you will. Because if we just think about it, there's 18 summers in your child's life. You don't get those back. And maybe the last 4, 5, 6, however many, your kid may not want to spend as much time with you. If you can really enjoy those opportunities while they're younger, that can be a great thing and very rewarding. And so that could be a reason to retire a little bit sooner if you're able. And number 6, at least for a lot of people that I work with and a lot of people I've met over the years, more money is not necessarily going to make you more secure. If you look at research or studies that are done out there, people who have $1 million want $2 million. People who have $2 million want $4 million. It's been pretty clearly studied that if you double the amount that you have, that's usually what people say that they will want to feel secure. But if you ask someone who has $2 million what they feel like, it's the 4. And, you know, they won't go to the $1 million person and say, hey, I feel very secure. Now, the $1 million person may not believe that, but you can keep going throughout this. I've never met someone who said, hey, I feel perfectly secure. I feel good about the amount of money that I have. Generally, people want more of it. And so trying to define enough is a very challenging thing, because I just don't think we're programmed to think, hey, we have enough money, we have enough food, we have enough, whatever it is. It always feels like we could have more of that to feel more secure. But having worked with people on different net worths of the spectrum, I've seen people with negative net worth all the way up to $50 million plus, and oftentimes none of them feel completely secure with the amount of money that they have. And I know that's hard to believe, but I've seen that firsthand, and this is well documented. And so as you think about your own retirement, think about what will that extra $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, whatever number it is that you think will make you feel more secure, what is actually providing to your life? What is that adding to your retirement? What does it allow you to do versus your health or your relationships or the time that you can get back to enjoy life and not be beholden to a job? Questions to ponder. These are the 6 reasons that I would retire as soon as possible, and think about it in your own life and what it can mean for you. Hopefully you took away something from today's video. If you did, hit that subscribe button to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching.